Hello learners, welcome to our environmental science course of IOS. In our previous program, we have discussed about origin of earth and evolution of environment. As we know that human beings or Homo sapiens evolved more than 2 million years ago. So, they evolved with a large brain that enabled them to think and use their judgment. Human walked erect on two legs, which made their hands free to negotiate manual functions. So, we also know that primitive humans lived in a forest near water bodies and interacted with the environment as hunters and gatherers. So, we know primitive humans are hunters and gatherers. As with other animals, the survival of humans are entirely different on their obtaining food from the environment. Being an intelligent person, human beings exploit environmental resources for many purposes other than just for procuring food. So, environment has played a great role in shaping the human societies, but we human beings too have affected the environment. Interaction between human society and environment are constantly changing, and in last few centuries we will talk about the exploitation of environmental resources has dramatically and drastically increased, leading to serious damage and degradation of the environment. So, I am Nilam Gupta, course coordinator of environmental science. Welcome you all in this program. So, we will discuss about utilization of natural and exploitation of natural resources, evolution of human and how they are being exploited, the environment. So, we will discuss what we will discuss during this program. So, objective of this, we will talk about natural resources obtained from the environment, human evolution, about the primitive humans as hunter and gatherers, tool used by primitive humans and how they primitive humans or nomadic humans started living a settled life. Then we will talk about origin and evolution of agriculture, domestication of animals and importance of the invention of wheel for beginning of the industrialization, and we will also discuss about few factors that led to the growth of industrialization and beginning of exploitation of natural resources. So, first we will talk about natural resources as which are available in the environment. We all know primitive humans interacted with the environment for their survival, and when humans became more and more cultured, they devised means of using environmental resources for making their life comfortable and protecting themselves from various environmental stresses. Now, we will talk about different type of natural resources. Natural resources are two types: abiotic resources and biotic resources. Abiotic resources includes temperature, land, soil, water, air, and biotic resources includes plants, animals, microorganisms including humans too. So, first we will talk about natural resources. Under this heading, we will first talk about abiotic resources. Look at the abiotic resources: land, natural gas, petroleum, mineral oil, ores and metals. First we will talk about land. We know many organisms including humans live on land. Land forms just approximately 29% of the earth's surface, which includes mountains, rocks, desert, swamp, forest and grasslands, and humans use lands for growing crops that provide them food. They need to build land to build their shelters, roads, railway track, cattle sheds, and they need to land for using. And land use is a very fast growing track to cater to the needs of the growing population, urbanization and industrialization. So, all these things we need to land, and land is also utilized for in modern ways flyovers, subways and of course for erecting factories, and urbanization are also human projects that diminishes natural resources too. Second, we will talk about water resources. we all know water is essential for our life. First organisms originated on earth are so the Earth's fresh water remains in a frozen state on high altitude and latitude on mountain tops. Only 20% of the available water is in liquid form. So, primary source of the water on land is rainfall. Water is an essential component for all living beings, and we know how to use water. We know uses of water in many ways, such as irrigation of agriculture crops, industries, building constructions, culture of fish, prawn and aquatic plants. Domestically we use drinking, bathing, cleaning, washing, gardening, pottery making, and all these require water. So, water, though a naturally replenishable resource, but overuse and wastage of water is leading to its scarcity, and we all experience water scarcity in rural areas as well as urban areas. Third natural abiotic resource is energy, and we know prime source of energy is solar radiations. So, primitive humans used firewood and cow dung and other animal waste for heating and cooking. Oil extracted from seeds and fish was used by them to light their caves and shelters, and in recent years we know the major source of energy is fossil fuels such as coal, petroleum, natural gas. So, coal is used as a fuel for cooking, for running locomotives, furnaces, industries and generating electricity, and it is also used for extraction of metals and minerals and in thermal power plants too. Petrol and natural gases are also for fossil fuels which are buried under the earth. Petroleum probably originated from marine animals that lived during past geological periods, like coal, which was formed from vegetation or plants. Petroleum and natural gases are obtained from deep inside the earth, and they are non-renewable energy resources. And petroleum products are also used for running automobiles, airplanes, ships, and for making plastics and fertilizers too. And we find petrol and diesel are a refined petroleum product due to several processes. Next, natural abiotic resources, minerals or metals, and we know earth has a storehouse of many metals and minerals. Humans have dug up mines and removed massive amount of minerals like aluminum, iron, copper, gold, zinc, mercury from their natural deposits. So, we dig out, and humans make utensils, vehicles, airplane and spacecraft by using aluminum, and aluminum is also used to make utensils, part of the vehicles, aircrafts and spacecrafts too. Iron and its alloy are used for making armament. Metal ores are chemical compound of metals. These ores are found as deposits in the earth. We use copper for industrial conductor, electric wires, and also use in the telecom industries. Iron we use for making railway tracks, bogies, engine, armament, and many other things too. We also use copper and zinc for making brass items, and of course, do not forget jewelry made of gold, silver and platinum. Next, natural resources are biotic resources, which include plants, animals, microorganisms and human beings too. So, biotic resources of the environment, we talk about biotic means living, and we already discussed it includes plants, animals and microbes. Microbes includes microscopic organisms, bacteria, protozoa and fungi. So, now previously we have talked about various types of natural resources. Now, we will talk about relationship between primitive human society and environment. So, modern humans, as we know, evolved about 2 million years ago from ape-like ancestor, and two major trends in human evolution have been enlarged their brain and bipedal gait. These two evolutionary trends gave humans many advantages over other animals. So, large brain help to think, decide, communicate, and hence became free to use for tool making and multifarious jobs or tasks. So, now we come to the next section, that is evolution of humans. We all know scientific name of the human is Homo sapiens sapiens, and it means the wise hominid. Hominidae is a family of human being which belongs Australopithecus, Homo habilis, Homo erectus, Neanderthal man are stages in human evolution. So, next figure is showing that is human evolution. So, you can see Australopithecus, Homo habilis, Homo erectus, Neanderthalians and Homo sapiens sapiens. So, they all walk erect and has large brain. Then apes, Homo habilis and Homo erectus even made pebble tools and stone axes. They were gathered and hunters and procured food from forest, flora and fauna and flesh of animals. They discovered fire some 2 lakhs years ago and realized that heat of the fire made food tender and tasty. So, hunters and gatherers, there is a primitive humans, and when they grouped in a society or they started agriculture, then they feel there is need to a security, and they formed a group, and next need to for settled life, and that is the reason early human settlements begin. So, primitive humans, we know hunter and gatherers, they moved from place to place as a forager. They in the discovery of their food, they led a nomadic life. As nomads, they roamed large and distant areas too. They had no permanent residence or abode. They lived near riverbeds where plants and animals were abundant, and they also used to live in caves. As they moved along, they left behind their stones and bones implements. So, we find their imprints in various parts of the world. So, next we will talk about tool making and discovery of fire. As we know, human discovered fire 2 lakhs years ago, and making tool was a major activity for primitive humans. They used their tools for hunting, for protecting from wild animals, and they also discovered or made tools for cultivation. So, older cultural Paleolithic age ushered to new stone age or Neolithic age. So, first primitive human tried to make some tools. Second figure shows Paleolithic tools and Middle Age tools. Now, we will come to the next section, that is from old to new age of tools. So, there is a comparison between 3 Paleolithic tools, age tool, Neolithic age tools and Mesolithic age tools and Neolithic age tools. So, Paleolithic age tools are simple shape stone tools. For example, hand axes and sticks. Stones were 1 lakh years old. Second tool belongs to Mesolithic age or Middle Age. They used flint tools. Rocks that were used for making tools were quartz, quartzites and other volcanic rocks. Made arrowheads, spears and other tools. When they moved to Neolithic age tools, they are advanced tools, they improved their tools. They use antler, bone, wooden hammer and hammer stone to chip off uniform flakes from the rocks. They made bows and arrows, harpoons, knives, fish hook and needles too. So, primitive humans, as we know, Homo erectus was the primitive humans who discovered fire more than 2 lakhs years ago. Discovery of fire has profound influence on their lifestyle. Primitive humans used fire for various purposes. Now come to the next section, that is agriculture and domestication of animals. As human 12,000 years ago, humans started agriculture and then they domesticated the animals and started nomadic life to settle life. So, lives of primitive humans depended largely on the availability of food. They are hunter and gatherers. They had small families which included children and grandchildren too. They roamed around forest for food and lived in caves. This is, and we know the hunters were dependent on his luck in chasing and hunting. So, as also on the abundance of food. Sometimes they got or sometimes not. So, they find a way in the form of agriculture. So, now we will discuss origin and evolution of agriculture. So, archaeologists have found shelters dating back to 10,000 years ago. Shelters protected them from wild animals, uncertainty of nomadic life. Once humans settled down, they slowly began to farm and a primitive agriculture society was formed. So, continuous cultivation along river banks and value of foods become surplus and domestication of animals began. Settled life also led to humans engaging in making wares of metals, clay, wood, leather. When that become surplus, trading began. So, they also started domestication of animals after agriculture. What they develop their primitive society. These primitive humans are needed to till the land for farming and to move from one place to another place. So, they started using bullocks to till the land, and some other animals like camel, elephant and bullocks were also used to transport humans and their wares from one place to another place. And animals, those are carrying goods from one place to another, are called draught animals. And early humans also reared animals for food like goat, sheep, big pig, deer, poultry, birds, and kept them with. Next, we will move to discovery of wheel. That is the major invention for beginning of the industrialization. It was prior to the making of metal tools. By about 3000 BC, wheels made of logs were being used in primitive carts. So, solid wooden wheels were used for other purposes also, such as to mold earthen and terracotta pots around 1000 BC. Wooden wheels were heavy, and once metals were discovered, metal wheels with spokes replaced wooden wheels as they were much lighter and stronger. So, look at the first stone wheel, then we see modern wheels which are using in trucks, airplane, cycle, rickshaw, car, tractor and many more. The earliest indications of industrialization were the engineering in wood and stone that primitive man undertook. It was unspecialized and required hard labor. To mine flint from rocks, miners used deer antlers and shovels made from shoulder blades of cattle. They worked by the light using small lamps made from hollowed pieces of chalk containing animal fat and wicks made by moss. Then the invention of wheel is the beginning of industrialization, and this when more secure food supply and improved diet made agricultural community move to new land for farming. And this also led to the substantial increase in population. So, people became miner, they are not those are not working for agriculture, they mined flint to make flint axes. So, growth of agriculture made accompanied by growth of tool making that provide crude agricultural implements. So, flint is a type of rock. Flint axes were important for farmer for cleaning dense forest land to raise their crops. Stone axes were used to fell trees. This making wheel, constructing building, mining ores to make tools and ornaments were a step towards industrialization. So, now we will discuss about discovery of metals. Human discovered copper, iron, bronze, made a stronger tool. This discovery brought humans out of the Stone Age and marked the beginning of industrial revolution. Potters were using high temperature kiln or ovens to fire their wares. Accidentally, they discovered that lump of gold and copper also melted at high temperature and could be molded into shape. So, this thinking moves to jewelry or ornaments. So, bronze we begin from bronze to move to the Iron Age. From 7th and 6th BC and century BC, humans began to use iron to make weapons and found it to be much superior to bronze, because bronze is a very soft metal. By 1200 BC, Western Asia, including Turkey and Iran, had come out of the Bronze Age and entered into the Iron Age. Iron tools and weapons replaced those made from bronze. So, next we move to the when we discovered fire, we made tools, we discovered minerals and metals. So, this is and we also moved to agrarian society. So, we go to the industrialization era and how growth of industrialization begin. So, there are several factors that led to growth of industrialization, that are technical development, economic development, invention of wheel, beginning of mining, agriculture, and Bronze Age and Iron Age, and language. We will talk about little bit about all these factors too. First, technical development. The discovery of metal for making better tools and weapons initiated technology. Second is economic development. The establishment of agrarian society engaged people in selling surplus produce or bartering it. This made the economically sound. Agrarian society, people got busy with occupation other than the agriculture, because some person doing agriculture do agriculture and other are doing pottery work, wooden carpentry work and many other occupations. Next, invention of wheel. This led to faster transportation and marked the beginning of the transportation industry. Not so long ago, man travelled by bullock carts. Today, we use car, bus, airplane, train, and all these are very common sight, and we use in our daily life all these commuting system. Next, we will talk about beginning of mining. It's also lead to the beginning of industrialization. It was related to unearthing flint. Later, ores containing copper, iron and aluminum are mined. This led to the formation of mining industry. Mining of minerals and metallous fossil fuels like coal and natural gas are common even today. Next is the cultural development. When agrarian society began, agriculture encourages trade and cooperation between other members of the society. That leads to complex societies. Also, we can see the beginning of metal tools, poetry and ornaments. After this, all these things make a cultural development. So, agriculture encouraged trade and cooperation to leading complex societies. It also set up new beginning of making metal tools, as we already discussed. So, we will take a short break. After this, we will continue this discussion.
प्रकाशित करने राहों को आलोकित करने हम अपना दीपक स्वयं बने, हम अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने। हम अपना दीपक स्वयं बने, हम अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने। जीवन ये प्रकाशित करने राहों को आलोकित करने।
धन साधन समय की सीमा से विद्यालय जो मुक्त हो। धन साधन समय की सीमा से विद्यालय जो मुक्त हो।
कभी पढ़े हम कहीं पढ़े वे विषय की लोच से युक्त हो।
कभी पढ़े हम कहीं पढ़े वे विषय की लोच से युक्त हो।
मित्रों हम उठे और जागे,
मंजिल आने की ध्वनि सुने। हम अपना दीपक स्वयं बने, हम
ज्ञान ये प्रकाशित करने, राहों को आलोकित करने।
शिक्षा परीक्षा का अवसर एक बार ही क्यों मिलता फिर
शिक्षा और परीक्षा का अवसर एक बार ही क्यों मिलता फिर दुनिया में इसके केंद्र बहुत, कोई मन चाहा केंद्र चुने, हम अपना जीवन स्वयं बने, हम अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने, कोई मन चाहा केंद्र चुने, स्वयं बने, हम
Before taking a break, we are talking about how we discuss about different natural resources such as biotic and abiotic resources, human evolution, discovery of fire, beginning of agriculture, making tools, and tool making is the milestone for beginning of industrialization. And there are several factors which leads to industrialization, that is economic factors, development, technical factors, from technical factors, or now we will talk about moving towards the factors. We talk about Bronze Age and Iron Age. Bronze Age and Iron Age and the discovery of fire much earlier led to the making of machine tool industries and machines for making synthetic cloths, for printing cloths, ushered in textile industries. Language is also developing during when we move to the agrarian society to industrialization. So humans are the only animals endowed with a well developed capacity for speech, and spoken communication led to development of language. Language helped in working in groups, which enhanced the pace of economic development. So now come to the next section of this discussion, that is beginning of exploitation of natural resources. We know primitive humans are hunters and gatherers. They take their needs from, they fulfill their needs from nature, but when industrialization will begin, human use their brain and they started to exploit environments too. So how is the environmental resources destroyed, diminished when environment has its own meaning of attaining a balance and replenishing and recycling its lost resources. So this is the story to beginning of exploitation of natural resources. Overpopulation, value erosion, loss of capacity for contentment and greed of humans have depleted natural resources, and all these mentioned content, they are a lack of awareness. And we say it's our duty of all of us to spread awareness about conserving environment by saving water, saving fuel, not cutting trees, not polluting water bodies, not polluting air. So forests have been cut to make place for agricultural field, houses for human habitation, roads, railway lines, and excessive use of wood not only for burning but also for commercial purposes too. When we cut forest, we lost forest, and when we lost forest has endangered wildlife, and some of them are already extinct, and there are several number of species which have vanished by human exploitation for their environment. There is now excessive generation of waste which has polluted land hills, water bodies. Pollution has changed the climate, caused disaster havoc, and we are facing global warming, acid rain, landfills, so many landfill, generation of waste, and all these have made our life so miserable. So scenario is scary. Are we thinking of mending our ways too? Neolithic period saw the humans giving up their nomadic life. They started exploiting the environment more intensively, started leading a settled life. This was the age of agriculture. As population grew, people started migrating to different parts of the world. Human exploitation of the environment intensified. So during the industrial revolution, the exploitation of the environment further intensified, and rapid expansion of industrialization has resulted in depletion of natural resources and environmental degradation. So now we will come to the end of this discussion with some bullet point in the form of what we have discussed, in the form of what we have learnt. So Earth, as we know, Earth bears several natural resources, of which non-living or abiotic resources are land, water, air, fossil fuels and minerals, and the living or biotic resources are plant, animals and microorganisms. And we know human, apart from food, require two major types of resources, namely materials and energy, for comfort and economic development. Ever since human appeared on earth, they have been drawing their food, clothing and other substance from the nature. Humans were evolved more than 2 million years ago, when they diverged from apes from which they shared a common ancestor. The earliest bipedal humans were the Australopithecus, who evolved in Africa. They were ape-like, but they have larger brains. The next stage in human evolution was Homo erectus, that is with large brain and erect posture, and their fossils have been found in Java and China. Homo sapiens Neanderthal main arose from Homo erectus, and soon they become extinct, but another line of humans are Homo sapiens sapiens. They evolved and they are considered to be the direct ancestor of the modern humans. So primitive humans lived in forests and used their hands to uproot edible parts, plant parts, and pluck fruits and collect seeds. Since hands were not used for walking, so they were used to make tools. Also, primitive humans were hunters and gatherers and moved from one place to another place in search of food, and they led nomadic or forager life. Along with human evolution, skills also improved progressively in tool making. Humans made simple tools with stones. The time period of this existence on earth is called Old Stone Age or Paleolithic Age. Starting from crude pebble tools, as time passed, they made better and sharper tools. In the Neolithic or New Stone Age, the tools were polished and ground. Later, humans discovered fire and used it for cooking, driving away predators and capturing large animals. From a nomadic life, humans began to settle and make shelters around 12,000 years ago. Humans learned to cultivate crops. Agriculture practices improved and humans grew their enough food and their population increased, and that is the time when human society began. Surplus cultivated crops were transported to other places, were watered, and when wheel was discovered, then transportation became easier. They moved from newer places to raise new crops and also begin to domesticate animals. While primitive humans were mining flint to make tools, they come across metal ores and mining and refining metals by heating begin. They made lots of things with bronze and alloy of copper and tin, and later with iron. Soon they started manufacturing activities and thus began industrialization. Rapid expansion of industrialization has resulted in depletion of natural resources and pollution of the environment. So the very survival of human is now threatened because of environmental degradation. So this is all about environment and human society. We will come again to meet you in new program for environmental science. Till then, thank you, goodbye and thank you.